Hello friends, this is tutorial number 56 of these two Pascal programming language tutorials. In this tutorial we will talk about authentication. It means that we will create one application. It will be something like cash machine, and we will have an array of users. Each user has his own username, password, and first name, last name, and cash balance. He needs to log in. It's the first thing that he needs to log in to the system, and when he log in successfully, he will has the options or to add the money or to withdraw the money, depending of what he wants to do. Now let's create application. First we need to create type. We will need to create just a second type, and it will be user, which will be a record, equals to record. And let's create couple of fields. First we will need a username, which will be string. We will have password, it will also be a string, and we will have first name. Of course it will be a string. Last name will be also string, and we will have cash balance. It will be long int. And end. Okay, we have 5 fields, it's enough. Now we need to create couple of variables, couple of users. Variable, we will have 3 users will be enough. User 1, user number 2, user number 3, and we will need a logged user. This all will be user. For the input we will need an integer, and for the for loop we will also need an integer. X and y should be enough. It will be an integer. Now what we will need? We will need array of users. Let's create, it will be users, an array from 1 to 3, because we will have 3 users of user. And also we will need, because this is a login application, when we have a login application we will need boolean. We will call it found, will be boolean. Now let's create, we will need a procedure. We will need a procedure if we want to display a user. Or we will wait with procedure, maybe we will not need to display. Let's create a begin and end of this application, and we will create a read line. And let's create couple of users. with user number 1 do, and we will need begin and end. Now let's define it. Let me see the fields. Okay, we have a field username, now we need one username. It can be smart. Password will be the same. This is just for learning purposes, and it will be smart. First name will be John. Last name will be Doe. And cash balance will be 500. Okay, we created user 1. Now we will use copy and paste to create 2 more users. Let's paste it. And let's paste once again. Now here will be user number 2 and here will be user number 3. Now we need to redefine this. We need a username, some username, smart. Okay, here will be strong, and password will also be strong. Of course you can put password, some other username and password if you want. We need first name will be Casey, and let's give her last name. It can be West. Cash balance, it will be 2,200. User number 3, let's create some username. Will be Happy. Happy will be password. Okay, that's the first thing that I have on my mind. And let's create name will be Jim. Last name will be Brooks. And cash balance will be 0. Okay, Jim doesn't have money. Okay, and we created 3 users, and we need all of these 3 users to put them into array. We already created array of users, and now let's define this array. Users element 1 equals to user 1. Pretty much simple. Okay, we can copy and paste. We have 3 users. Now let's paste once, and let's paste for the second time. Okay, users of element 2 and users of element 3, and here we will change user number 2 and here will be user number 3. We put these 3 users into array, which is good. And now we will need login procedure. It will be a procedure. let's create. I think it's better. We will not have procedure for display user. It is better to create procedure for login. We will do it. Okay, just a second. Here we created array, and here we will create procedure. We will call it login. We will have a variable u, which will be a user, and let's define this procedure. We need begin and end, and we will write here with u, which is user, do. And we need again begin and end, and let's define this procedure. First, let's define by default boolean is false, but let's define it. Found equals to false, and we will create a repeat and until loop. It will be until found equals to false, or not false, until found equals to true. I'm sorry. We will need to login, and when we successfully login, we will change this boolean to true. And let's start. First, let's write a line. We need a message. It will be enter username. Okay, we will need also variable, because we will enter username and password, and here we will create one variable. It will be two variables. It will be a username entry and password entry, which will be string. Okay, and now here we have a message enter username. Of course, this will be all local variables, but we will use these variables into our procedure. In this procedure we will define some of them. And now let's read a line, and it will be username entry. Now we will have other message, another enter password, and we need to read the line password entry. And now when we finish entering username and password, we need to know, and we need the response if that user is found or not. And how we will gonna know that? We need to iterate over this array of users. Let's create a for loop for x equals we have 3 elements of the array, 1, 2, 3, do. And let's create begin and end of this for loop. And let's define. We will need control statement if, and if username entry, it is the username that we entered, equals to, we have this array users of element x dot username, then we need begin and end of this control statement, and now we need a second control statement. If this is correct, if username is correct, now inside we will need another condition if password entry equals to users of element x dot password, then we will need another begin and end, and inside we will define a user u, which is a local variable, will be equals to users of element x. Pretty much simple. And we will redefine a boolean found will become true because we found user. And let's create some message, write line it will be welcome, or we can use write, no white, it will be write, and let's write again, and it will be u dot first name and now we will use write a line. First we need a space, and we need a last name. It will be u dot last name. It will be good. And before this welcome, it is better to we have write line and empty string as a space. We need a little space, and it should be enough. I think this is better than we have in the previous applications. Show user, but okay, we can show username and password, and I think this is better to we have procedure. If we successfully log in, we will have just a welcome message with first name and last name with full name. Okay, and let's call this procedure. We will call it here. Let's call procedure, and which user will be? It will be we created, okay, user 1, user number 2, user number 3. But user that successfully log in will be a logged user. Let me copy this. And we will paste it here. And now we can compile to see how it will gonna work. First we need to compile to see where we have errors. Okay, until found. Okay, it is a boolean, and when it's a boolean we don't use two dots. We just use we are just checking the equality. Okay, let's compile again to see another error. Procedure. Okay, I called the procedure, and it is we define procedure. It's a login, and now we need the name of the procedure. Okay, my mistake, of course. Okay, we successfully fixed the errors, so just the two errors, not too much. And now let's try to run this application to see if it will gonna work properly. But I forgot. Okay, it was a strong and smart. Okay, we have unhappy. Okay, this is the usernames and password. Enter username. Okay, it will be said and said. Okay, username. Okay, and we need to enter username and password. Okay, we could I forgot to create a message. When we enter a wrong username and password, it would be better to we have a message, a user not found, but we will fix it. Okay, and now let's try to enter. The username is strong, and it will run until we don't enter correct password, username and password. And if we type strong, okay, welcome Casey West, and this is good. Okay, and now we need just a second. We need the message user not found. It will be better, and we need to define it in this procedure. Okay, we entering. If we enter everything correct, we will find the user, logged user, boolean found will become true, and loop will end. We will have this message. But if we don't, if we don't find the user, we will need a message. But we can't have this message inside the for loop. If we write message inside the for loop, we will have, okay, we will have just two. We will have two times this message. But imagine that we have 5 or 10 elements of array. If we have 10 elements of array, and if we don't find the user, we will have 10 messages, user not found. In this case we will have 3. We need to do this after this for loop finish. It is here. And what we will write, if we will, it is better to use control statement. If found equals to false, then we will have the message, but first we will need begin and end. We will write, it will be a simple message, write line, user not found. And here where we have welcome message, okay, welcome first name, we have last name, and let's add some interpunction. Okay, but I forgot quotes. This will be good. Now let me clear the screen and let's try to run again. Enter username, ABC, and let me see, user not found. Okay, I will need just a little one line to separate, but it is good. Okay, we enter the username and password and we have a message, user not found, and this is good. Now let's create happy and let's type happy again, and we have welcome Jim Brooks, which is good, which is perfect, and this means that this part works perfectly. We'll learn how to log in to the application, and we will need to continue. We will need a couple of options, but we will create it in the next tutorial. In this tutorial we'll learn how to log in into the application, and this is pretty much good. We can try again. We have two users and we have I wanted to see the username and password of the first, but let's clear and let's run again. But before I do it, maybe it's better I will separate with here when we have a message user not found, I will put one empty string. It is a better. This is a login application, and now I will not use stars this time. Let's run again. Let's type A, C, D, couple of D, and now it's a better user not found. Or maybe I could, yes, I could. Okay, we have a message user not found, and it's better to separate this new one, enter username, but okay, we will fix that. Now we want to enter username. It will be smart and password will be smart, and we will have the message welcome John Doe. Okay, depending of username and password. Let me back here. We have our users. Each user has his own username and password, and when we log into the system, we type username and password, and when username and password are correct, depending of that which user login, we will have the message. As you can see, this is pretty much good, and I really hope that you understand this. We created our procedure which works successfully. Okay, that was the first part of our application. In the next tutorial we will create a menu. We need, when we successfully log in, we will have the welcome message, but we will need we will need a cash balance of the user, and he will have the options, or he will deposit money, or he wants to cash out, or maybe he just want to exit the application. He just wanted to see how much money he has. Okay, I really hope that you like this video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. You have a link in the description, and I will see you in the next tutorial where we will continue with this application.